Rosario, thank you so much for welcoming us here today. We're in Santiago, in Chile. We're super happy to be here. Could you please briefly introduce yourself for the audience?
So I'm Rosario. I'm the founder of Ecocitex.
Yeah.
We're here, and what we're doing is basically trying to create a circular textile business around all this.
That's great. So let's dig into it. The textile industry is one of the most polluting in the world. We believe it accounts for about 10% of CO2 emissions worldwide. 20% of the polluted waters are caused by the color the dyes that we use to color our clothes. How do you explain that? Can you please comment a little bit on everything that's happening in this industry?
I think it's terrible, and it's been growing each year more and more terrible because we are I don't know, the society is built out of this, I want to be trending, and they've made all this fashion industry around it and all this fast fashion where I don't know now. Today it's really trending, I don't know, black, and everybody goes out and buys black, but then now black is old. Now you have to have green, and they make all this make sense of neediness that people each time they require more and more items of clothing to feel that they're trending, and they buy more and buy more, and it's not sustainable the way we're living. In Chile, it's supposed to, we have an estimate that people are buying 60 items of clothing per year. 60. Why do you need 60 new items of clothing per year? Do you really need it?
And sometimes it's more. I know some people that consume even more. That's the average, yes.
I buy 2, so that means someone out there is buying 118 items of clothing. It's terrible. It's too much. Yeah. And because we're buying, obviously the brands are producing, and because they realize that people are buying more what is cheaper, they're producing in waste. In worst ways, so it's not sustainable at all.
Of course. So please, can you tell us a little bit more about the process of making clothes? So we know we use a lot of water. I think that for one T-shirt we use about 3. I mean, it depends. The debits change from one source to another, but I understood that it's about 3,000 liters of water that we need just to make one basic T-shirt. To me, it's absolutely insane. Can you tell us a little bit more about this? What's the process? How does the process look like?
Okay, so the process starts, basically you have 2 largest materials out there which provide the basic garment, right? You have cotton on one side, and cotton is one of the plants that use most water. So that's why you go one jeans or one T-shirt uses 3,000 liters of water or 8,000 liters of water, depending on what your source is. And the other source of clothes, material, is polyester that comes from petrol. So you have 2 things, water or pollution, and it's come on. So let's keep farming these things to make clothing. And then while making the clothing, you have all the colors, right? Because you like that sweater, right? And you like it because it's your favorite color. And you wouldn't like it so much if it was yellow.
That is true.
So we get the cotton, we get the polyester, we do a cotton polyester mix, then we make the thread, and afterwards we have to dye it. So you have a lot of contamination in the plants itself, like raising the things, and then you have a lot of water polluting in the process of dyeing. 20% of all the water in the world, even, I don't know, and with that you have all the industrials, you have the mining, the petrol, every other thing. And the industry of clothing makes 20% of that, 1/5. That's absurd.
Of course.
Why do we need so much color in the clothes? Look at me, I'm not wearing a lot of color and I'm okay, I can survive without color.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Now, if we bring the focus back to Chile, Chile, if I'm not mistaken, is the country that consumes the most clothes in all Latin America. We've seen, some of us might have seen the clothes dumps in the Atacama Desert in Chile, up in the north. Can you please comment on that? I believe that you were some of the first people that wanted to shine light on that problem. So, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so there are two different things.
Yes.
We Chileans,
Yeah.
I'm Chilean, but I'm not included in the people that do this. We tend to buy a lot of clothing.
Yeah.
The clothing that we buy here in Chile is clothing that is really cheap. It comes most of it from fast fashion. So you can buy like a t-shirt for 99 cents or $1.99. And it's like you go out there, you buy 5 t-shirts or I don't know, like 20 shirts. And it's like, come on, really? But the other thing is like around the world, no countries have find the solution of what to do with the secondhand clothing.
Yeah.
So you have two big zones of countries here, like the countries that refer to themselves as first world countries, that they solve this problem by putting charity boxes. So you're walking in the streets or you go to the store, so you go like, if you're not going to use your clothing no more, donate it to lesser countries or to poorer countries. Be good and donate your clothes. And we have the countries that we don't have. We're not first world countries, so we're second world countries or third world countries. And we have a lot of poverty still within our countries. And we are the ones that receive these charity donations. And this was really amazing a couple of years back because the clothing that people were donating weren't from fast fashion, were for slow fashion. So it's garments that had a lot of lifespan left in them.
Yeah.
So we imported the clothing. It arrived in the north. We put it into what we call fardos, so big bulks of plastic with the clothing compressed within it.
Yeah.
And we sell it to different parts of Chile where other people will buy secondhand clothes and will make a living out of it. They will resell it. We have like secondhand stores alone. We have flea markets that sell secondhand clothing. And it came to two good things that were happening here in Chile. You have a lot of people getting an income from reselling secondhand clothes. That was really good. And you had the poorer class being able to afford clothing, good clothing, in good condition that will at an affordable price. What happened? The other third world countries started realizing that we were importing more clothing than the clothing that we were actually using within the country. And we were having like a lot of bad effects like dumpsters and pollution and other things. So other countries that had the same problem that here in Chile started closing the borders. And the first world countries were each time more producing more and more donations. Yeah. And they were lesser quality. So it turns out that now Chile roughly indicates that we're importing 59,000 tons of secondhand clothing per year. Wow. Which 20,000 tons are sold and keep this market that is a good market that helps people, but 39,000 tons are ending up in the desert, generating huge mountains of textile waste. What's the problem with it? It's a lot with polyester, really polluting. You have unintentional or intentional sometimes fires. All that smoke coming out of that fire is really polluting. Yeah. So it's like, and the clothing that we're receiving, come on. I know that first world countries think that they're donating, but one thing is to donate garments in good condition, and the other thing is putting in those donating boxes clothing that are not usable no more. They're literally garbage, and they're sending to us, third world countries or second world countries. They're garbage. Yeah. It's not sustainable, not at all.
Of course. So now let's talk about you. Let's talk about Ecocitex. Let's talk about what you've been doing since you started the company. Can you please tell us more about it? Tell the audience about the process. What do you do exactly? How do you do it? And yeah.
Okay, so basically here what we're trying to do is educate people and change their mentality to move into a more sustainable way of consuming and involving ourselves with the clothing. So what do we say? People first, they have to stop buying new clothing. Like that would be amazing if they stop. And the clothing that they have, they can bring it to Ecocitex. Ecocitex in Spanish derives from economía circular textil. So circular textile economy, something like that. And they can bring clothing in perfect condition, which we receive as a donation. And they can bring clothing that is not in good condition, and they can pay for a sustainable recycling service.
And that's individuals and companies, right?
Yeah, but mostly individuals are doing this because companies are now willing to pay for something they can achieve for free. So basically, if you throw your clothing away, you don't pay. So garbage is free. So why would they pay for a sustainable recycling process when it's not mandatory by law still? So mainly individuals, they bring here the clothing. So we charge 99 cents per kilo. So it's not a big fee. And they bring it, but priorly, we teach them that they have to be responsible for bringing the clothes like the way we need it to recycle. So they need to take all the buttons, the zippers, the broderie, and everything that the clothing has, like all these things. If you want to recycle this, you have to remove this hand by hand before bringing it. So it's really important. So they bring the clothes here. And what do we do with the clothing? The clothing that is in perfect condition, we sell them. We have a store here that you can browse for secondhand clothing in good condition. And the nice thing about this is that anybody that comes here, they can come and ask for up to 15 items of clothing totally for free. Like they just declare that they need the clothes, that they're having a bad patch in their life or whatever, and they can choose what they take for them to use totally for free. And that's amazing.
And how many clothes can they take?
15 items per person.
15 items.
Each time they come. So they could come on January, then they could come on June. So they can live with the clothing that we provide them without any cost for them. So that's, and the clothing we sell serves a little bit to compensate the cost of recycling. Then the items of clothing that is not in perfect condition, we try to convert into other type of items. So we have, I don't know, hats and bags and I don't know, different type of things that we do of the textile that we recover from the clothing that is in ill condition. And only the things that you cannot recover because the textile is worn. What we do is separate by color. So here you can focus. So you separate by color. This is reds. And after we separate by color, we cut it. And you can see different items of clothing here that has been cut. This touches a lot, so the items are smaller and smaller each time you touch it. But after we separate by color and cut it, obviously prior to that, removing everything that's non-textile, we shred it. This is shredded yarn or clothing. So this is all shredded. And after we shred it, we card it. So basically we comb the threads in the same direction, creating this. And this is basically is the same thing that has been combed. And after combing it, we separate it into thin, I don't know, stripes. And these have no resistance because all the threads are put in the same direction. So if you pull it a little bit, you could see that this
So that's
magic.
Why you put it in.
And then afterwards, we spin it. This is what my daughter calls magic yarn. So then we spin it, and then you get a resistant thread. And this is resistant enough to be sewed. And then we achieve this. So basically, this is a cone of 100% recycled yarn. And then we have different type of products. So we sell them in skeins, and we also make cords, and we also have different item of decoration things like textile for the house.
That's wonderful. And basically, what do you do with this end product? Who do you sell it to, and what's the use for these products, basically? Okay,
so what's the use? Everything. The first line of products we made was made for people that like manual stuff. So for knitting, for crocheting, we have something that's called like magic needle and telares. I don't know the word in English.
Not sure. Telares?
So, but it's different type of crafts that people will buy the things to do for their own. They will do little hats, sweaters, and different things. And then the looms. And then we started making like products. So this is a cushion, and we have blankets, and we have different products made our textile.
So
and one thing amazing,
you use this to make this,
right? And the one amazing thing, I don't know if the two amazing things about our yarn is like, first, because we don't use water nor dyes in the process, we're mitigating carbon footprint. That's one amazing thing. So we're not contaminating in the process, we're mitigating.
That was originally, that's it.
The original color of the thing. And the second thing that's amazing, that every product created with our yarn can be recycled again as many times as you want.
That's crazy.
So it's totally circular. And the bad thing, because you always have a downside, and why people didn't believe in this and said that it was impossible to accomplish, is because by separating by color, secondhand clothing in bad condition, this is not post-industrial waste. This is post-consumer waste, which is much harder to work with. We have no technology to give you the exact composition. So it's 100% recyclable. I have no idea how much cotton, polyester, acrylic it has. So you buy this and it goes 100% recycled. That's it. That's all you know. Because knowing more, it costs too much, making the end product non-viably economically.
Of course. So what's there on the tag? On the tag, it just says 100% recycled. That's it.
We put in this one, we put composition and no composition, and recycled mix of fibers.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, that is a really interesting
thing. And that's a challenge. So people will go like, okay, so if I don't know, wash this, what will happen? Like, all the colors I've tried, nothing happens to it, but eventually a new composition could differ.
Yeah.
And because it's all recycled and we don't know the exact composition, if you touch it, we try to aim for the same resistancy and from the same softness and the same, all the thing to be standardized.
Yeah.
But every color is different.
Of course.
And I will never be able to, like we try to do 2 oranges, and because it's of different piles of clothing, the orange is not the same. And we will never be able to repeat the same orange.
But maybe this is something that we need to understand as a community, as a society, that's probably the future. I mean, I hope it can be the present for more people, but that's the future. Maybe we need to adapt, change our perspective, and change the way we do things. So that's fantastic. Now, one more question for you. We talked about what is wrong in the industry, but we mainly talked about what is wrong from an environmental perspective. Can we talk a little bit more about the big social challenges that exist in that industry and the responsibility of big brands? So you mentioned fast fashion. We all like to consume clothes in nice brands. But what is their responsibility and what social challenges are they facing?
Well, the problem behind all the garments that we use is whether we like it or not. There are people behind it.
Yeah.
So just imagine, like, I don't have the exact numbers here, but just imagine if you're consuming a t-shirt that's 99 cents, how much the person behind the production, the final stitches, the knitting, the compiling, any part of the process, how much is she or he earning if the total price of the item is that cheap? Imagine that behind the item you sell it, right? But you have to get profit out of it. So what's the real cost of that t-shirt? And if that's the real cost, how much money you're paying to the final person? So it's like, and we've seen what happened. Like we've seen the disasters, what happened in Bangladesh, where the building collapsed and killed over, I don't remember the exact number, but yeah, the Rana Plaza. It was like,
I'm not sure about the numbers. It was hundreds, if not 1,000 people.
Yeah, the images of that, the condition that people were working in. Like we have a lot of images that I wouldn't want to work like that. I wouldn't want people in my country to be forced to work like that. So we need to be, like, I always try to focus on this, like, when we're consumers, and the power that we have for being consumer is a great power if we act collectively. And we should be focused on 3 responsibilities to have when we consume a good or a service, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, first, when we're consuming, we're saying we're okay with the chain of production that good had. So let's be aware of what we're buying. And if what we're buying have a little kid working like in really bad condition, don't buy that product.
Yeah.
Like, you're vouching for the production chain when you buy it. So that's one big thing.
Yeah.
The second thing, when you buy something, you're responsible for the lifespan and how you end the product life.
Of course.
So if you're going to buy a lot of clothing, be aware that you should be responsible for the recycling process. If you don't want to recycle,
make sure you keep it for as
much
long
as
as possible. Yeah, for sure.
So you're responsible for using it wisely and then dumping it or giving it a end life properly. Donate it, give it to something that like it, upcycle it. I don't know if it's food we're talking about, like compost it. I don't know, but it's your responsibility.
Of course.
And third, when you buy, we're giving power to the brands that we want to have the power tomorrow. So which type of company do you want to have the profit to grow and be larger tomorrow? Like, do you want sustainable companies? Do you want companies that are producing locally, that have all the social impact within them? Or do you want like big companies that don't have these policies within their chain? So those are the three things we need to think about when we purchase something.
Thank you so much, Rosario, for today. I think it was very insightful. At least for me, I'm sure it was as well for the audience. Now, last question: can you please describe Ecocitex in 3 words?
Okay, that's a hard one,
Yes.
but I thought about it beforehand, so here it goes.
Of course.
Sustainable and social fashion.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do you have any last thoughts, comments that you'd like to share with the audience today?
I think we're building the future. So let's try to think of what future we want and how we can contribute in small actions to make that future more achievable. So
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thanks.
thank you.